Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 419. And yes, we had some issues last week, but we got him back. And he is going to be joining us. Guro Burton, the man who can make a program, garbage can for the lid for the street, hand, head, all that. And we're going to talk about that. Just brilliant what he can do. And the congruency between the levels, seamless. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about staff. We're going to talk about stories about the great one. And African martial arts and all that good stuff. So if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from, smash that like button, and without further ado, here he is, the one and only Hawaii boy, Guro Burton.
How's it, bro?
So did you like your intro?
Oh, that was amazing. Garbage can lid for the street.
Think about it. All right.
No, I've already, the outline is in my head already. It's funny.
Oh boy.
Actually, it's, you know what's funny, really funny, is actually I have something outlined that is actually very close to that. Not garbage can lid, but yeah, it's so funny that you say that. But when that comes out, I think it'll actually be surprisingly helpful to a lot of people. Empty hand, knife, weapons, whatever. That's pretty funny.
Well, that's good. And then and you can just, if you want, you can give me credit. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Dean Franco's garbage can lid for the street. Yeah, that's one problem with nowadays with the trash bins. They automatically lift them up.
That's it.
Those, improvised
like
shields.
The telephone booth, you know what I mean?
True. How can you change your superhero outfit without a telephone booth? It's terrible.
A distant memory.
For you older folks,
yes.
Get Smart. Maxwell Smart would go into a phone booth, right, and then disappear and go down into the headquarters of control. So
I just remember that Maxwell Smart, Get Smart. Oh my gosh! We're definitely going down memory lane now.
For those that don't know it, if you're younger, you've never heard of that, Get Smart. You should really go watch the series. You will be better off for it.
yeah, it's better as what's on there today.
Exactly. Wholesome. Hilarity.
No argument. So what basically, I know it was a little funny, but really I think there's some absolute truth. You have such a creative aspect, and one of the things I want to kind of touch on before we get into my questions and the viewers' questions is you have an innate ability, whether it's based on need, suggestion from somebody, or you're looking at maybe voids in the community that are not being addressed. And maybe and all the reasons combined, but where do you get your inspiration from when you're developing these programs? Like, for instance, the ones that you have fairly recently come out with, I believe, is you came out with Clinch for the Street. You had the Sinawali for this, the Karenza module
solo Sinawali.
And now recently the Trapping for the Street.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I'm glad you brought that up too, because I forgot to tell you. I thought we would probably end up talking about the trapping program. And before I forget, anybody watching, so we had a special, when we put out a new program, we want to make it easy for people because they're not going to be testimonials. People, it's like, is this thing really good or not? But so we put a real discounted price. And so we decided for this episode, we're going to give a discount code. If somebody wants to get it, the discount, you go to jkdunlimited.com. Discount code is FMA, as in FMA podcast, FMA, and you get the same introductory price, which is $174 instead of $259. Okay, just so you know.
All right, so I'm going to put that there. So FMA, the code.
That's the discount code, yes.
And 174
instead of $249, I think it is. Yeah.
I think I'm going to be putting that code in.
It's so you asked about developing these things, and it really comes down. So you mentioned the word creative. So when we're doing drills, something interesting in the Filipino martial arts is there are drills, but most or a lot of the drills, at least the way it used to be done, is there's a lot of creativity amongst within the drill. For example, sombrata. So you have sombrata, hey, I brought some props. Say you're doing sombrata, there's a garrote, right? But you're going click, click. So it's basically someone throws something to me, I catch it, I throw it back to them, they catch it. So we're playing catch. There are different certain patterns that make it easier to learn the concept. So we say, okay, you hit angle 1, I'm going to roof block. Then I'm going to hit angle 1 and you do an inside sweep. Then you hit a low shot, a low 4, and I'm going to drop stick or low wing. And then we're going to start the same thing from the other side, or we add a thrust and such. So that's a way to learn it. But the way I learned it from Guro originally was it was free flow. Like you hit someplace and I hit wherever I want. So there's creativity and there's relationship in it. Real fighting, you have to just relate to what's happening right now, not what you thought was going to happen or what the guy was supposed to attack you like this. You have to deal with what is in the moment. And those drills where it's very creative, because once I block, what can I do here? I can either stick to that pattern, or I could thrust, I could go low, I could come back on the other side, I could go to a puño, I could punch. There are all these different elements, and it becomes creative, and you have to instantaneously problem solve with something you weren't sure, something that wasn't dictated. So you don't know it was coming. So that develops flow. Same with numerata, the drill where one person feeds about half speed or so, and the other person moves around and does several follow-ups, and you come in. Same thing. That is very much a free flow drill. In Villabrel Kali, Grandmaster Largusa decided to put it into a pattern so that it was easier to learn for people. And that's a way of solidifying things. But what happens is the downside of it, yes, people can learn faster. The downside is a lot of times people won't go outside the pattern. You tell them to go outside the pattern. Okay, now just do free flow sombrata. They're stuck in the pattern. So you need that creativity in the drill. And that's one of the hallmarks of Filipino martial arts. Now, how do I take and have, if you call it creativity to come up with these different programs, it's through the drill that is the most creative, if you ask me, which is sparring. So in sparring, I have no idea what the person is throwing. We're not taking turns. The rhythm can change, the speed can change, the levels can change. The person can be left lead, right lead, can switch, if it's stick, switch the stick to right and left, they can thrust, whatever. It's totally free. In sparring, the only criteria is don't injure your partner. That in sparring, fighting, you injure the opponent. But we just make it free, we make it safe, but that's the most creative. And so that is actually where I get most of my ideas for creating a new program. For example, does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does. What was kind of interesting, I knew that about the Villabril system and Numerata, how it became codified. What I didn't know, and not that it's, I guess, really important, but it's just interesting, was how Sombrata, before it became 3-count, 5-count box pattern, that wasn't originally the situation. That I didn't know,
Yeah, at the original Kali Academy, interesting too, at that particular time, that era, the sticks we were using, at least the ones I got, were 24 inches probably. They weren't the 28-inch stick. And yeah, when we learned Sombrata, it was okay, you hit here, you block, and then you hit the person back. And you can hit them high or low. And so even in the Sombrata back then, when I was first learning, people, for example, they'd go roof block and they would start a 1 and then they would drift it down to a 3. So you would have to be able to adjust midstream as the stick was drifting also. And so, yeah, there was a lot of, again, relationship in that drill.
Wow. I mean, that to me is enjoyable. Like
Oh,
you
it's
might
really,
be you might come off here and you're indicating the number one, but then there, or you're indicating the number now 12, and
yes.
I just never knew that. I just always assumed it was set in either a 3 count, 5 count, and with yeah, wow, interesting, huh?
Yeah, that came later. Okay, I think this is, I could be totally wrong about this, but I
Yeah,
think possibly Grudin made the patterns to teach on seminars so he could get people going.
that would
And
make
because it
sense.
takes a
Large
while to
crowd.
get, yeah,
Okay.
to
Yeah.
get the free flow, you have to have a certain level of skill. You have to spend quite a bit of time playing with it until you start picking things up. And I have a feeling that's what happened. Now, you go look at Grudin's top people, everybody can go free flow, right? They're
Mm.
very good. It's just, I think a lot of students tend to get stuck in the pattern and don't break out of that.
Okay.
Now, I will say, from my perspective, um, mid-range sombrata, where most of the sombrata comes from, and that is, it happens. I'm just going to say my perspective. I'm not wild about it myself
Yeah. I know
because
why.
we don't want to stay in middle range. In a real fight, if you stay middle range, you're both getting hit. So so one thing I do if I'm going to have somebody, if they want to do middle range sombrata for some reason, I'll often go here, block check, and I'll have the person grab the hand or the stick, do a couple follow-ups, and then feed something back, just so we practice, instead of practice blocking, checking, letting go, and hitting, which they can then counter, it's more like we would want to do. We would want to actually control their weapons somehow. But long range sombrata, really good. Knife sombrata, I find to be excellent for the left hand and picking up angles. So
Mm.
there's a lot of benefits. But we only have so much time, and we have to pick and choose which drills we're going to invest the time in,
Yeah.
especially because it requires a partner. And coming back to that, if I only have 10 minutes to train, we're going to warm up and do some sparring
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I got 10 minutes. Yeah.
right? If I have 10 minutes with a human being,
Yeah.
got 10 minutes, hey, let's do some sparring.
You know.
So from the sparring, that's where I start seeing things come up. And
Mhm.
things will come up, and often it's a long process. So with the trapping, for example, when I learned all kinds of trapping techniques, then when I started actually doing more live sparring, we did some sparring in the JKD class from Grudin. But when I got into MMA, when it was called No Holds Barred, I'm training here in Hawaii with Egan Inoue, Ensign Inoue.
Mm.
I've realized, like, man, I can't do the trapping at all. Like, not even close. I'm trying to get a reference point. I'm trying to get that reference point. They're hitting me with the other hand, or I'm going for a reference point. Boom, they're coming under, and there goes the takedown. And I tried it for a while, and that's why I came to the conclusion, hey, you know what? Trapping that is not something to work. Right? Well, of course, that was premature, because the question is not, this is how, in my point of view, the question is not, does this work? It is, when is this the most applicable option?
Okay.
For example, let's talk about Illustrissimo. Here, I'm gonna grab a sword. So there's a technique in Illustrissimo, a lot of people call it fraile, where you come up. So imagine I have my blade here, trying to get it on screen here. An angle high in Illustrissimo would be an angle 4, but a high backhand coming in this angle. And so I take the blade and I come up so I can knock it over my head, and then I can come back and do whatever technique. So the idea is, it's coming in, I'm going to raise my blade up and try to knock it up over my head, sometimes this way as well. I just have to realize, when I go this direction, I might knock it into my own hand, but the idea, you pop this up over your head and come in. Well, if someone's swinging full speed at you, it is, you're here and you go, okay, I'm going to take this thing. This is not a high percentage move. It's really hard to do. So it's like, well, why does Illustrissimo emphasize that? Well, you actually, what am I going to say here, Dean? What do you think?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, 6 months ago, and I'm definitely gonna answer your question. I'm just gonna give just a little pre.
Please.
um, is I really wanted to get the essence of this. Boom, boom, either whether I'm popping it up or I'm pushing it over, whatever, you know. And so I put a helmet, had a guy go, wham, wham. It wasn't until I put on a slight angle there, if I was in that range. But you know what I found?
What's that?
Stepping back, taking the hand.
Hmm. There you go.
That's that's what was panning out for me. Very high. He was coming just right here and just, there.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go to long range, man. You have a huge advantage on that. But this question, why, since like you say, you're doing it, that's a hard thing. So say we're in middle range and I can't move back and I can't just hit the hand because I'm still going to get hit when somebody follows through. I mean, why this or why this? Why would the illustration even practice that? Because if I take a swing and my blade ends up here as the person is swinging back, guess what? My best option from here is just to come up. I don't have time to bring my blade over and do a block.
Reorient.
I don't have time to do a roof block. The tip is there and I have to pop that up or come up in here. So the point being that I said trapping doesn't work. Well, what I didn't realize was the context, how to do it, and especially when is the best time to do trapping. Okay. Well, what I realized over time, as I kept sparring, I mean, this is like 10 years later, and I'm in the boxing ring and something went on my head to trap. But instead of getting a reference point, I just came in and I just pop, just did a quick trap as the punch is coming out. Okay, all right, well, that worked beautifully. And so from there, I started thinking about it. And I videotaped most of my sparring sessions just to see, in case something pops up, I can look back at it. So anyway, I started trying to do the Pak Saos, the Lap Sao, the Jut, found that a lot of these things worked well if you had the timing and if you knew what you were doing with it. Trying to find the reference point, very difficult. It does happen, but very difficult to go reference point then trap. But to just trap something out of the air, it actually, with timing, it confuses the other person's timing. And that's a whole thing. It's in the program. But just real quick on that. See, if a boxer throws a jab, boom, right? They throw a jab, bang, and they know after that jab comes out, on the way back, I might parry and come back at them. And so they're going to jab and their other hand's ready to block. Boom, boom. That's a natural thing. Also, as they throw the jab out there, I can slip and jab inside myself. So people who are trained well, a lot of sparring time, they become used to add extension here. Add extension, their other hand is ready to block because they know that's another timing that punch sometimes come in, the counter punch. But on trapping, on the Pak Sao, as they start to punch, you step in and you're actually hitting them when their arm is just slightly extended. And people are not used to blocking when the arm's only halfway there. They're used to blocking afterwards. They're used to blocking at full extension, but not halfway or a quarter way through the move. And so anyway, I was sparring with a bunch of UFC guys one day, guys that were actively in the UFC. This is while I was training. I was head coach for Chris Lieben. And I tell you, I tried the parry in return. I tried slipping on the parry, but this worked over and over and over again against the guys. I couldn't get in with the other techniques because they're just programmed to deal with it. So that's just an example of how let's find the time. But it's through sparring. Things come up in sparring and you go, oh, this is important. And then the way we spar a lot, is we have knives and training pistols. So at any time it comes out, and that changes everything, which is, why so much of my emphasis is street self-defense. But it's such a fun process.
No, I mean, as a matter of fact, bear with me because I'm going to pull up something here. I think that's going to really illustrate what you were just talking about.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah, because I remembered that you actually had a video showcase, in which I believe is what you were just speaking on, and I hope it is. But it's definitely on trapping. So
Hmm.
here we go. Hopefully, this is it. Okay. Your emotional report?
Was it for trapping?
Yeah. Oh, you can't see it? I'm sorry.
No, I can't see it. That's okay.
Interesting to notice my hand here. I can parry from the side from there, but I can't really knock that
But there's, yeah, if that's
hand
that
down.
promotional vid you're talking
So
about,
what's
there's a
going to
lot of
happen
trapping in
first?
there.
My hand is going up.
So,
You see how it's
and the
going
point
up,
being,
up, up.
it's all done
And
in
now
sparring.
it's going to shoot
Sparring,
from there
I use
and
fighting
try to go
examples too,
directly
people
into here where
actually
that punch
fighting
is
in
coming
cages,
out.
rings and
So
such
we
to
watch
show,
that, and
show
there it
it
is. The
happen
punch
at
is starting
absolute full
out.
speed
I'm already
because like,
popping
oh,
it,
I
and
can
my
see
punch
how
is
it's
going very
applied.
direct.
And,
Notice that he is
if it's
aware of that punch
useful,
coming in
I should be
right
able,
here,
everybody should
and
be
he
able to apply it in sparring somewhat regularly, right? Trapping, the moment for trapping doesn't come up all the time, but it gives you an extra element that kickboxers or strikers don't have. And then
Right.
you suddenly go whoop and you trap this down and you hook, or you double trap and headbutt, double trap, kick to the groin. I mean, there's many different ways of trapping, but it's, man, extremely, extremely useful. And so that after I got to the point where I was using it and it was really helping me, I said, you know what, I want to help other people. Let me put a
Yeah.
program out. And so that's why I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. So, all right, next question before we get into some questions
Yes.
from folks and other questions on different programs that you're doing or have done. How are you able to link the levels? So, for instance, let's take a program that's your average 4 levels. You got
Okay.
hand and head, hand and leg, and then all the body parts. Um, how are you able to do it with such congruency? Like, one of the things I think is amazing that you do when I was doing your programs, like there was just no, they just flowed really well. Not just so much in an aspect of the body parts where you would go to next, as far as that, where your attention should be directed, as far as targeting, but just to all overall just blend of them. Like it wasn't just jointed, or you know what I mean. It had a really, and did that come naturally from your science background, or did you have to think about that hard? It seemed like it come pretty easy to you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that is that idea of sparring only to the hand, going then only sparring hand and head, those targets only sparring hand and leg, and then doing the whole thing. I came up with that when Guro told me about it. No, Guro, he was the one who introduced isolated sparring way back when. He's like, okay, only hit at the hand. Okay, now only do hand and hit at the leg. Oh, we have helmets. Okay, let's only hit at the hand and the head. Okay, just to isolate. That's all from Guro.
Okay.
I think I do. I would guess I would say I never really thought of that, Dean. I think the structure of actually categorizing things and make them easier to learn,
Yeah,
that does come from my science background.
that makes sense.
Yeah. For example, yes, for the weaponry, it is divided like that: hand only sparring,
Yeah.
and you only do the hand sparring. And then when you're good at that, you have a feeling of the distance, and you only have one thing to think about. So you
Yeah.
can focus on just that one thing and bring up your skill there. Then you say, okay, now we're going to add the head. Now we have 2 distances.
Yeah.
Now we can start fake high, go low, fake low, go high. And that adds many different elements. And so now it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about the leg at all. Let's go back and do the hand and the head, and you can feel that distance change, and you can feel how, oh, I step in to hit the head, and now I'm getting hit in the head at the same time. So you learn the distance and the timing. Then you say, okay, now let's go away from that. Forget the head. Let's isolate the leg sparring, because if we just said, okay, now we're going to do full sparring, which is a possibility also, just go from, you go hand and head, and then you go full sparring. People are going to find out pretty soon. They go down to hit the leg and they get hit in the head.
Yeah.
So the answer is, well, I'm not going to hit him in the leg.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if we do that is my partner gets no experience dealing with leg shots.
Somebody coming at him, taking a knee, right?
Yes. I will not have practice doing the leg shot at a good distance and a good posture where I'm not getting hit. So forcing people hand and leg sparring only makes them feel that distance and gets a lot of good repetitions. You know, just the idea, the bringing the leg back, like illustration hanging step, or just pulling your leg out when somebody goes to your leg. I tell you, because Guru Dan had us do a lot of hand and leg sparring, the first time I sparred with Eric Noss, and okay, wasn't sparring, it was fighting. The first time we fought, because again, sparring, do your best to take care of your partner so there are no injuries. Yeah. Fighting, it's like you got to take care of yourself. And again, I didn't realize we're going to fight that hard. So it was just headgear, hand protection, heavy sticks, full out. And he started taking ripping shots at my knees. He was here a couple weeks ago and we're just talking about that. But thankfully, luckily, due to my training, I was able to move my leg every time he went for my unprotected knee. So I didn't get severe damage on my knee or a heavy hit on my knee. Yeah. So that's why that isolating is so important, because maybe, with your partners, they're just not hitting at your leg. Then one day
you hear me, that guy who's swinging with intent at your leg and you didn't practice, isolate leg defense. Yeah. Not a good equation.
Bad news.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then there's another element that I think is very helpful for people. So I take the whole curriculum and I divide that, and this goes for weaponry, empty hand, whatever. And I have 3 basic sections. The first, and there's a reason I say this first, is fighting proficiency. That means your ability to spar. Can you pull off techniques in sparring? So, because that's what we're actually after. We want to be able to actually use our techniques when our partner is trying his or her best to avoid all your techniques and they're trying to implement their techniques on you. So we're doing our best to impose our will on our partner. That's fighting proficiency, which is all these sparring games. Second one is technical proficiency. Technical precision. Technical precision is, well, now let's look at the techniques we're doing for each level. Let's actually look at it and look at the details. I don't know. Would you say that's pretty detail oriented, the technique?
Yeah, I know. I mean, again, this is why I'm so glad you're talking about this. I just think the way your roadmap on this is incredible. But yeah, absolutely on the technique, the fighting.
Yeah, because as we know, when it comes down to it, I might have 17 counters for an angle 1. Right? I do this, I come up this way, I do this, et cetera, et cetera. But when that angle 1 is coming at you full speed and you're in range, you only get to choose one technique. And that technique better be really precise, because the power that's coming in, especially with a heavy stick, and you get somebody, when I'm stick fighting, I could be doing sparring with my daughter with sticks, and I'm thinking Eric Noss, right? Because he's a large, super powerful, unbelievably athletic, unbelievable skill level, timing, setups, and the whole thing. So that's my standard. And so I make sure I'm practicing everything very precisely as I go. So the second category is technical precision. And the third category is power generation. Because if you say you get the proficiency where you can have the timing to hit people and all, and you're accurate, you hit at the good targets, if you don't have power behind it, it's not going to be very effective. You can punch somebody and it's like, doesn't do anything. So we have to develop the power. Now, how about with the knife? We do power generation with a knife, right? Why would we do power generation with a knife that you just don't need the power to cut somebody?
To stop, maybe because you're going to the hand or whatever, to stop them, disarm it. They're having enough power and shock on that impact,
Exactly. when you hit to the hand, there are a lot of bones and all. You don't want to just slice. You want to make sure you have a really good impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then another reason, if somebody puts their hands up, you may not get that clean blow. You have to go through some barriers. And if their barriers aren't strong, you can go ahead and power through. Even somebody, again, my daughter, we train a lot. We do a lot of sparring. She has good power generation because I have her hit the bag and, such. But yeah, you actually have to block it. You can't just kind of put your stick, you can't just kind of go up and put your stick up there. You actually have to have some structure to block that. So those are the three categories I use. I use is the fighting proficiency, technical precision, and power generation. You have all of those and you develop a very good fighter. And thankfully, it's turned out it's worked. Happy to say I've developed a lot of very proficient fighters on that with that method.
Yeah. I got a question. This is from Mike. So Mike, Mike's the person that you mentioned. Now, I just got one comment. I definitely have seen your questions, Salim, and I'm definitely going to ask him. Yes, I just don't want you to think I haven't seen him. I think he's the person you mentioned to me that was just out there recently and is going to see Brandon.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So he sent a question in, and really what it's on CLOT, and I'm going to kind of fill in the okay, so here it is. Regarding your CLOT for the streets, I've had people tell me the techniques in his videos are not pure CLOT or true representation of the art. I try to explain to the naysayers that what Guro Burton is showing is only part of what he knows, and he's showing techniques and testing them for certain situations. Can you elaborate on that? Before you do, though, I want to just chime in on this because, in my opinion, if I had to choose one program that really resonated with me and gave me just such insight, not just from the self-defense perspective, but it enhanced my Piper, and everything, and just body positioning and levers and knowing is your CLOT for the street. I think it's, in my opinion, it's what I had experience in doing anything else. Like when I did your stick, your knife, that really to me was the best program. So for the naysayers out there that are, and I'll take the hit for this, when I watch a lot of their vids, I'm not seeing the levers. I'm seeing them doing their magic with somebody just standing there, but I'm not seeing any forward lever. I'm not seeing side lever coming in, off balancing, which makes a takedown easier, which when you do it, which is, again, piggyback off Piper, which makes Piper so substantial because you're coming in there with that contact and off balancing. And so to the naysayers, that community that is saying that about you, I find it upsetting because when I look at what they do, it's theory at best. Mm-hmm. So that was my piece. I'll let you answer.
Thank you so much. No, here's the thing for all of you out there, and Dean has experienced this, and anytime you try to do anything, you're going to have naysayers, and that's fine. Actually, if somebody, sends me a comment or I happen to see comments and all, you know what I do is I read somebody will say, oh, blah, 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 right? First thing I do is I read and I go, is that right? Maybe that's true. And so then I self-reflect and I look at what I'm doing and maybe they're right. And if they're right, I'm going to change what I'm doing to make it better. On the CLOT, I think a lot of people didn't train the way I was trained. That's my thought. Those that have that kind of naysayer thing. Who was the first instructor I had that showed a technique, had us practice the technique, then added a lot of resistance and pointed out like, hey, look, it's hard. It's so much different doing it with heavy resistance. Of all my teachers, who do you think the first one was that really, at least to me, brought that point home?
Pendecker Paul?
That would be a good guess, but no.
Oh, now you got me stumbled.
Yeah.
Not
Think
Guru.
of fighting arts, any fighting art that the instructor actually said, here's a technique. We're practicing. He came over to me and he added a bunch of resistance and I couldn't do the technique. It was Herman Sawanda. And Herman Sawanda, yes, Herman Sawanda, we were doing a technique, double throat grab. Somebody grabs you by the throat, like this. And so the technique was you take your fingers here and you shove it into the windpipe and down to
Okay.
make them back off and release the grip. So there were like usually 5 or 6 people in Herman's class. And I don't remember who I was practicing with. So he walks around, he looks, and he goes, okay. And he says to me, he goes, okay, here, do it to me. And so he grabbed me by the throat. I went like this. And he goes, okay, good. One more time. And he grabs me. He starts going like this and shaking me all over the place. I'm like this, and I couldn't do the technique. And he just lets go and he goes, different, isn't it? And he walked off.
I've been like, thank you.
Back to reality. I mean, he just reeled me right back into reality there. And that moment really, it made me think differently. From that point on, I had a little different thing. I was like, oh, the resistance makes so much difference when we're practicing it. And later it developed into the sparring based methods, sparring based programs, because that's what we need. So if people train any art, silat, whatever art, and they train it without the resistance, it's going to evolve or devolve into something that doesn't look like the fighting. When Pendekar Paul, he would have me feed him, and I was very fortunate that because of Grudan's pushing, and finally got me to be able to train with Pendekar Paul. He got it where I would be his partner or his assistant. So in class, I was his assistant, so he would do everything on me. I'd go travel with him on seminars, and I'd be his assistant. So I got to feel all this stuff. So a lot of times, and you'll see in videos if you watch Pendekar Paul, I'll throw a punch. You'll see whoever's feeding throw a punch, and he goes through some things, but I'll tell you, that was teaching the art and displaying the art. But sometimes, especially in his backyard, and I'm not saying this like, in the backyard we train for real, no place else train for real. I'm just saying it happened in classes too. Everybody could be exposed to this. But he'd go, okay, throw anything. And so I'd go like this. And often, because it's silat, and it's, there's a cultural aspect to it. And so we'd start moving around a little bit, and then boom, I'd throw a punch, or I'd throw a kick, or whatever. Man, that lever would come on so hard. It was literally, I'd move forward and I'd just be met with a wall, bang, like that. And then the techniques happen. And often he's entering in with punching, and really, really amazing. Same with the Victor de Tours. Have you ever worked with Victor de Tours? Did you?
No, I mean, the only one, mostly in the East Coast was Uncle Bill. Like like, I don't think like Paul made it. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think it sounds like Uncle Bill made it out here more than Paul.
Yeah.
Far as East Coast,
Yes.
But as far as your question, unfortunately, no.
Yeah. So Victor de Tours was even bigger and stronger yet. And again, the lever, when he'd come in and bang you with that lever, it was just brutal. And, interesting looking back at that time, there were silat guys, even under Pendekar Paul, who would go, Victor, he's just like brute strength. I'm not saying Pendekar Paul said that, but there were students under Pendekar Paul. And that's how it is. If there's an instructor and people under, there's always going to be people that are, start talking and stuff. So they would actually say, Victor Tours, he's like brute strength. He doesn't really have the art. It's like brute strength. I think they were saying that because they weren't used to having that lever and being hit with that lever and like bang, bang, how strong it is. And so it's easy to look and go, oh, you know what? That's not the real thing. He's like this looks like football. He's just banging into the guy, but that's a forward lever or a side
Yeah,
lever.
the side lever, those levers, man. I'm just telling you, like that. One of the things, like with me with Lloyd, because Lloyd never took CLOT separately.
Right,
His exposure was actually from the lens of Piper.
right.
So one of the things I don't think he understood was the levers, and I was trying to in all that, and but much to your point, it just like training with you in there enhanced my Piper so much because when I'm coming in, it's either the cider or the forward, or it's a blend of both, maybe on an angler, but it's
Right. Yeah.
still you know what I mean, and with the rear leg and all that. So I think your emphasis on the levers is phenomenal, and.
Well, let me talk about that for just a brief second here. I know there are questions to get to. Um, see, Guru Dan, he learned Silat from Eddie Joffrey. He learned Silat from John Lacoste. He learned Malaysian Bersilat from a young man. He trained with Herman Sawanda and all this. When he started training with Pendecker Paul, a lot of times if you haven't trained in those other systems, again, if you only train one system, you think your system is the one that invented everything and all. But if you look at the techniques, entry techniques, sweep on the inside, sweep on the outside, back sweep inside, back sweep outside, like turning the head, etc., all these things, it's common in Silat. This is what Silat looks like. But Guru Dan's mind was blown when he first started training with Pendecker, because it was the levers Pendecker was using and the angles that he was executing his techniques at and sometimes entering at, which took the same sort of techniques and just took it to a total another level of functionality. And that's why Guru Dan was so excited when he started training with Pendecker Paul and would go out to his house twice a week and train for a couple hours for years and years and years before he was able to teach it. So yeah, the levers and the angles, makes all the difference.
That initial off balancing is just coming from that. It's just so key. We got to come here from. And I've been neglecting the comments. I'm sorry, folks. If your training doesn't look like the news, you're fooling yourself. Yeah. We got Terry. That was from Mike Raymond. We got Terry. We got Brad. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, staff. So, a few questions on staff. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Staff. Hey, I brought a staff too. There we go. Yay, staff.
All right. There you go.
Since I have the staff, let me take just a moment to talk about Piper. That's how my brain works, right? You know that. Just wanted to say,
sure.
I concur. When I started training with Lloyd de Jong for Piper,
yeah,
I didn't even know that Silat was an element of Piper, because there were all these Malays that ended up in Cape Town several hundred years ago. They were exiled there. And so there was Silat in Cape Town. But when he's doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just like Silat. The guarding hand, the guarding hand. I think, man, that is Silat.
Major twirl, minor twirl.
Yeah, right. It's so Silat, and those levers, seeing the guys come in. So, and one last thing before we go to staff, it's not only Sarak or Bukta Nagar that has the levers. If you look at Mustika Kuitang, man, they have a heavy lever as well. There's a lot of Silat systems that use that heavy lever to enter off balance, throw, draw the knife, etc. So
this is something you just mentioned. I don't want to digress here, but I know.
I'm all about digressing, right?
Yeah, I know.
Progressing.
I know. Getting you on here, it's like, when you can, just shoot me like a quick message. I'm just curious. The system that you just mentioned is all.
Okay. Mustika Kuitang. Yeah. Jim Ingram was a Pendecker. He was in Seattle. But there are videos. There's a book called Weapons and Fighting Arts of the Indonesian Archipelago by Don Drager. And there are photos in there show Mustika Kuitang, and it shows a guy taking a guy down. I don't know if it was a back sweep and all. And the other guy's just totally the defenders I mean, the attacker was totally backwards when it was done in these photos. Well, I got to see the actual film that it was taken from by someone who was a haplologist and was there at that time. And when you got to see the film, I saw that and I'm like, that's sea life. That's, to me, that's what sea life. It was just bang, and he was over.
Yeah, definitely be curious. All right. So, okay, on the staff. So a couple things on it is, okay. Well, before we get into your up and coming staff program, the question here is overall length of choice, offense, defense, counteroffensive. Is it going to be baiting? And is it solely derived from an FMA lens, or is there other martial art style systems from countries that are also involved?
Great question. So all of the above, yes. That there is offensive, it's defensive, it's baiting, it's attack by drawing, it's using progressive indirect attack. So again, going back to JKD, Bruce Lee's so brilliant the way he put together the 5 ways of attack, and a lot of that was from fencing. And so there is a fencing element in this as well, especially when we start going with thrusts. If you look at foil fencing, like we're using disengages, which you can find them in Filipino martial arts too. But there's just a wide variety. There is Indian staff work involved too. There are all these different styles of staff work. Some of them they hold in the middle. So the middle of the staff here, and they have the hands close together. Some hold down toward the end more, and their hands are closer together. Then they move them up. There's certain ways you can move the staff when you're down toward the end and hands together. You can whip upward eights, like upward figure eights. You can get that thing whipping and then come out of it to do high shots. And then you come back to your other grips. So a lot of different grips. So yes, definitely Filipino martial arts. I first learned staff from Guro Burton. So he taught things, and because myself and one of my seniors, Tim Cordoza, he was very interested in staff. So Guro Burton taught us some extra staff. And so Tim and I would work on the weekends. On Saturdays after classes were over, we'd just go outside with the staff and work a lot of things. But yeah, wide variety of influences.
All right. You haven't officially come out with it yet, but obviously something you've wanted to come out with is in fact staff for the street.
Yeah.
Now, who's the sucker that you're using for that, like, to kind of develop the program? Is there somebody like you're just using that, like?
Yeah, well, hopefully he won't see this, but I'm just going to say there's this guy, Dean Franco, and somehow I got him roped in to be like a guinea pig for this thing, and it's hilarious. But he's doing it. I don't know why, but it's worked out. And I think it's going to be Battlefield Collie staff.
Battlefield Collie staff. Okay.
Battlefield, yeah, because it's more the Battlefield Collie approach. You could carry this in your car and use it in the street, but so it's more Battlefield Collie. But yeah, it's just, again, sparring based. So you can actually see what happens when someone's fighting back against you and you develop those skills. And we're going to use about a 5-foot staff. That's going to be the basic, because you can go longer, you can go shorter, but the standard, the ones I'm going to be using in the program will be 5 feet.
Okay, quick. I'm going to ask this question because it kind of ties in to the staff, and this is for Mike, who incidentally is here. Have you ever trained or experimented with Tapado style?
Yes, that's part of the system also. Not Tapado itself, but some of the basics of Tapado, because there's not much to it, really. There's a lot of timing and distancing and knowing when to go and understanding, reading the opponent. But yeah, that two-handed method of just slamming down, gosh, it's just it's just so functional.
I've only seen a little of it. It looks great. I'm trying still to get somebody on here to discuss it more, but what I've seen of it looks pretty.
Hey, Dean, have you ever had Eric Noss on the show?
No, we've one attempt to try, but there was some miscommunication. But I would love to get him on. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, he fought a very good Tapado guy from the Philippines, and I'll let him tell the story. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, if you talk to him, if he wants to come on, I mean, more than willing, for sure.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay, got a couple just quick questions to get out of the way before we get. Okay, do you foresee a double stick for the street coming out? Battlefield double stick, golly.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do mixed weapons. It might just be in there.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Also, Phil would like to know, what do you got coming on DVD? Anything maybe with Kane coming out? Obviously, the staff is going to be on DVD, correct? Or just a download?
Yes. Yeah. We are going to start making the DVDs. Like the trapping program will be on DVD in the not too distant future. So we'll have DVD and
as well as downloads. Okay.
Yeah.
So any Kane come down the pipeline?
Sure is. Got
okay. So
Kane for that's for the street. Kane for the street. So using a cane for self-defense, and I came up with this approach, and I've never seen anybody else do it at all. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you see it? Okay, remember I was making in the intro, I was talking about the garbage can lid for the street, but come on now, Kane, garbage can lid for the street.
No, that's it. See, I didn't want to say anything, but that's the program. That's the program. There's a bodybuilding portion also, because with the new trash cans, you have to pick up the entire trash bin.
Oh, so that's gonna be the power generation. You're just living.
That's the power. Oh gosh, my neighbors are going to hate you. I'm going to be out there. Hey, this is a good idea.
Who suggested that? Oh. All right. Question about Piper. Okay, so
Piper.
What can you say far as your training in Piper and how it fits in your overall knife game?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So first, since Piper is point down, first you have to realize the benefits, yes, thank you, of grabbing the knife point down. Why do you put the thumb over the top cap instead of holding it here in the original style? Why is the edge facing in instead of facing out? You know, we can modify things for, as Lloyd has done, for modern knives that are more sturdy than that original copy. But to me, it's such a great, just a system you can teach people quickly, very quickly, and then you can go very deep in it as well. So the base system, for the way I look at it, base system is very quick and easy to learn. And then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Like Dean has gone very deep in it, and he can take people a long way. For me, where it fits is if somebody says, yeah, I want knife for self-defense. And I look at them and I say, you know, they're not a strong person. Personally, because of all my training, I still prefer going knife point up. That's my personal preference. I can still stab.
Yeah,
I have a lot
of dueling. I'm with you. Yeah, yeah.
But that's because of lots and lots of experience. Yeah. Somebody starting out, they are going to be formidable in the first lesson, going point down and just having this and going to the side, moving the head and going to the side. Such an interesting blend of the indigenous knife fighting and Zulu, from the Zulu spear fighting and all. From that, with the boxing, because you see the head movement, the silat with the hands, the bumping, the leveraging, the footwork. I mean, it's really fascinating. But where it fits into me is, one, training someone who is not physically strong to be formidable very, very quickly. And number two is knowing, like, going against it, so going empty hand against Piper. Yeah, you know what it does? What it should do, if you actually do that and you put on some gear and you go, okay, you know, you have somebody that's learned the Piper method. You go, okay, go ahead and do this. I'm going to defend myself. This should ingrain the idea of avoidance, awareness, avoidance, and escaping. If somebody pulls a knife on you. It is so incredibly difficult to deal with.
I think it's if they're really good, it's going to be virtually almost impossible. That's that
Yeah.
percent off day, that being the
No.
attacker. But much to your point, it's like, how did they get there? How were they allowed? You know, like, why did you allow? You know what I mean? But, you know, working on that closer proximity. And much to your point, there's enough in level 1 in Piper to make you dangerous.
Oh,
Like, technically, you don't need to go to level 2 or level 3. If you got level 1 stuff, you're pretty dangerous and formidable. You know.
yeah, I agree.
So great answers. Okay, I'm kind of just going down. So excuse.
Please.
Okay, this is from CJ, and he knows that you trained, you know, African martial arts. Any chance of that coming down? Any programs coming out the future regarding African martial arts?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to have
a lot of stuff coming down the future. Wow.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, and I take my time putting these things out because I have that whole outline for Zulu martial arts. I have the whole outline for Cane for the street. I have it all done, but I just test things and I teach it. So when I actually put it on video, I'm answering questions that people are going to ask that I didn't think of myself. That's why I want to teach it to people. But yeah, that's coming. I'll just tell you, I'm trying to arrange this trip to South Africa to hopefully go talk to some of the elders, not just in the Zulu village where I trained before, but actually elders for the nation, some of the higher level people in the Zulu nation, just to get their backing and to get another level. That's what I'm hoping to do. And if not, I'll put it out if I can't make that trip. But it's going to be Zulu martial arts, not just stick fighting. It'll be stick, spear, and it will be axe.
That's going to be, well, I'm looking forward to that. All right. So, you know what? Let's just tackle this question next. Future programs coming out. You got staff, obviously. We're just talking about the African martial arts. Cane is somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And double stick, battlefield double stick.
And then some mixed. I have the Jun Fun JKD program. Again, it's all ready to go. That's going to come maybe at the end of the year. I'll shoot that. But the next one I'm actually going to shoot is the Kali Illustrissimo. That's the next program. I don't know. That's why I want to put it out, because nobody knows about this. So I think you'll like it. Yeah, KI. That's what we're going to call it. KI.
KI.
Yes, something that you might be interested in.
So what sucker do you have coming out for? Do you have a sucker?
You know, it's so funny. I got that one guy to do the staff program, and then I got this other guy, Dean Franco. Wait a second, is that the same guy? So yeah, Dean's coming out here in September, and we're going to shoot the Kali Illustrissimo. He's going to assist me, and we're going to put that on video so that people can see what I learned, my point of view on it from my fighting background and training Illustrissimo under Guro Dan, who trained with Regino Illustrissimo. I also got to train with Edgar Solite quite a bit, who trained under Illustrissimo. I trained with Master Tony some and Christopher Ricketts. Of course, I trained with Tatang himself in 94 and 96, 3 weeks. So I trained with Tatang for 1 week in 94. Then I was working on a movie, had a couple weeks on the movie, and then I extended my trip 2 more weeks so I spent three weeks that time. In 96, I came back. I spent about 10 days with him. And then he died, I think, later that year or early in the next year. Yeah. So I'm so glad. Hey, anybody, if there's somebody out there that you want to train with, that you really go, man, I want to train with this person, is something I would suggest to all of you, just go do it. Because I think, you know, on the little poster for this thing, you put up the photo of me with Tatang, with Master Tony and Master Tupper, right? None of them are here. They're all
sad. I know.
Yeah, that's why go train with the people. Pendecker Paul's gone. Yeah, it's just Herman's gone, and so many people. So just go train with them.
Yeah. I know. Sad. Okay.
Yeah, so Kali Illustrissimo, and one last thing on that.
Sure.
It's my point of view, but I have video that I took in 94 and 96. And so I'm going to include a lot of that video to explain and show him doing it, even though he's older at the time, and maybe his footwork wasn't as sharp, and sometimes he might move without even using the footwork. I'll point that out. But you actually see Tatang doing the technique. It's not me, oh yeah, this is the technique. Like, for example, this is one thing. Okay, KI, fighting stance. There we go. Okay, we're up here. This is the fighting stance. But you'll see Tatang starts from here. He starts from here, right? He starts from here. If he's sticking dagger, if he has a dagger, hand's going to start here, because as he comes out or he comes down, he's going to pull a dagger at the same time. He'll start here. He starts low. I mean, there was no really basic fighting stance. He'd be here and he'd be here if he's in a sparring mode. And then a lot of times, again, battlefield wise, you're just where you are. So you need to be able to flow from everywhere. So I'll show him doing those things.
So basically what you're saying is whatever you show as far as a tactic, a technique, whatever, you're going to parallel it with actual footage from the great one. So nobody can say, that's not how I was taught.
Oh, they'll still say that. Oh, no, they will definitely say, oh, that's how he taught when he was 88.
Empirical evidence that there's
it's okay. And it's okay. It's good to have people criticizing, because then if we can take it and look and say, oh, maybe they're right about this, maybe they're right about that, and that's a good way for us to progress.
Okay, I'm going to throw this quick because it's kind of right in the flow. And
Please.
This is from Tommy. How will the Kali Ismos program differ from your Battlefield Kali sword program?
Good question. This will be Tatang's way of doing things, his mindset and such. So Battlefield Kali sword program, we do the long range sparring and we do the closer range sparring. But there are a lot of things from there's a lot of Kali Illustrissimo in that. There are a lot of things that Tatang did that were very, very sword specific on the battlefield wise. There were techniques that, again, Battlefield Kali, I want to make sure that I can do them in sparring. And there were some that I had never been able to do in sparring myself, or even, some sort of with resistance. And I just didn't feel so like I shouldn't show it if I don't really understand it that much. So I'm going to show everything he showed. And I have a better understanding now, because we're constantly practicing and training and sparring and all that, than I did when I put out that program. So anyway, it will be Kali Illustrissimo, and it will be an instructor certification. Because again, going back to that photo of me with Tatang, Tony, and Tupper, they made me an instructor. In 94, they gave me a fighting test. Tupper did. I didn't know, but he made me fight somebody. And my last day there. And then it turned out that was my instructor exam. And so he gave me an instructor credentials, Tatang, and with Tupper. Then 2 years later, they gave me another level or something. And I'll just tell you, they made me the Kali Illustrissimo representative for the United States in 96. They gave me a certificate, plus they gave me another instructor certificate and all this, right? I did not ask for that. And I never told anybody, hey, I am the representative. None of you can teach because that's...
Yeah, I get tested. No.
Yeah, no. Right. But the point being is what they wanted was for me to go out and spread Kali Illustrissimo. I did not feel with the total of 1 month very intensive training. And then I trained with Tony on other trips. I trained with Tupper on other trips. Tupper would come to Los Angeles and he'd train me in my apartment and all. So I got a lot of extra training. I didn't feel really comfortable until I had studied those videos for 10 years. Like literally, maybe 15 years of studying the video over and trying to understand it better and better. Then I said, okay, now I feel like I can teach this. So now I feel I'm at the point where I'm comfortable putting out a program so that we can keep Kali Illustrissimo alive, and not just alive, but flourishing. And there are a lot of different people teaching. I just want to make sure we have another point of view and another way of doing it.
That's it. That's it. I mean, the more the better, right? Different
Yes,
lenses, and absolutely.
correct.
All right, next question. Stories on the Great One.
Ah, Tatang.
Yeah. So whatever
Oh man, where do I
stories, a
start
couple you
there?
want to share,
What's that?
whatever, if you want to share a couple
Oh,
stories, whatever.
okay. Well, let's see. Gosh, there's so many things. Okay, so one thing, he, okay, when I was about to leave, I think it was the first trip, I
Okay.
asked Tatang, I said, hey, I don't know if you have any sticks, but if you could, I'll buy some sticks from you if you don't mind. And I would love to, have you sign them if you don't mind. Okay. Right now, what you have to remember, like Grudine's saying, the Great One, and it's Tatang and Grandmaster and all that. He was a fighter, and training with him was more like fighters train, right? He didn't say, call me Grandmaster. He never said anything like that. Tony didn't say, call me Master. Tupper didn't say, call me Master, right? It was just Tatang, Tony, and Tupper, right? That's what it was. And you're out there training to fight. So with that preface, he said, okay, so he comes back the next day and he's got these sticks, and they're maybe, I don't know, 26 inches, 25 inches, whatever. They are just crooked. They are horrible, horrible sticks, but he signed them. I don't know if I got 8 or whatever, 6 or something, but he signed these sticks. And so I'm like, this is great. I've got some sticks signed by Tatang, right? Well, Tupper and Tony come over and they look at the sticks and they just start cracking up, and they just start going, Tatang, what kind of stick is this? Where'd you get this thing? Where'd you get it out of the trash? And they're just like on him. They're just like teasing him like crazy, and he's laughing and all. But that shows you kind of the camaraderie,
Yeah.
the feel of it. It wasn't like, I'm the teacher, you are my students down there somewhere. It was just everybody having a good time training together. Another Tatang story, I think was very pertinent again. Honesty. It's very easy, especially you become so revered. One thing to think about in the Philippines, as other places, there are a lot of clashing amongst styles, right? This style says that style's no good, and that style says that style, and that style's no good, and we have this, and they stole this from this. There's all this, and unfortunately, even the masters, a lot of the masters, not all, will belittle other masters. That guy, right? So you hear all this stuff. Interesting, in my experience, every single guy in the Philippines, and in America, but in the Philippines, if you brought up Tatang, they'd go, "Oh yeah, he's really good."
Yeah, nobody was saying.
No, there was no. That guy really didn't know what he was doing. No, oh no, he's really, really good. So he's telling me about this. So in the Philippines, there's these jeepneys, right, which are, and they use them for transportation. And you jump on the jeepney, you go wherever, then you pay for the trip. And so where Tatang lived was the most dangerous place, notorious place in the entire Philippines.
Tondo,
like you take
right?
Tondo, and Binondo, they call it also sometimes, some areas in there. But I'm telling you, when I would go and train at Tony's place, which was actually Alex Coe's little spot, that was spooky. You walk up the stairs. This is night. You walk up the stairs in this dark, old, beat up old cement building, and you would step over people that are sleeping in the stairwell to get up to the thing. And then outside, there's this little canal. There's just millions of mosquitoes, just like, Anyway, so that's where Tatang lived. I think the whole time he was in Manila for decades. And he told me that it wasn't many years before that he got into something and he had to actually fight. I said, "Oh, could you tell me what happened?" And so apparently somebody was accosting one of his friends or something. I don't know, maybe it was somebody he didn't know. So I don't have that story exact who, but you go, Tatang decides to step in. Now imagine he pulls out his stick and he just starts going to town on this guy and right? Okay, this is what he tells me. And I would have believed that. And he tells me, he goes, oh, well, I had a pipe with me because he carried this short lead pipe because it's heavy, right? He goes, I just went up behind the guy and I went, pop, pop, pop. It's like hammered him in the back of the head. Just tunk, tunk, tunk.
There's nothing like sophisticated. I mean, just.
Yeah, I went in, I locked him, I took him down, I held him in the lock, I choked him with the stick. No, it was tunk, tunk, tunk from behind. And he goes, the guy just went tunk, 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 and was out. But that's the honesty, right? Yeah. Why go do all this cool stuff when he can just whack him in the back of the head? So yeah, that was a good thing. And we just had it was nice. We'd go eat lunch together. I'd buy him lunch.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really, really nice. I have video of him explaining a little bit about his anting, the tattoo. Yeah. And he pulled up his shirt and you can see the tattoo also. A friend of mine said that he thinks I have the only actual footage or good image of that tattoo. So that I'll put that on the video as well. Just I want to share all these things that I've had to myself for decades. But Tatang, he was just very genuine in wanting me to learn, which was really, really nice. Because he didn't have to teach me. And when he was younger, he didn't like to teach people because that's what saved him, his art. But he was so generous, and he made sure. He also, with Tony and Tupper, same thing. If I got something, they're teaching me something. Oh, come say hi. Yeah. Hey, say hi, everybody.
Hi.
There's my sparring partner. Okay, go ahead and get her. As soon as I got a technique, they would give me something else. Especially I had video, so that was helpful. But they were so generous. Guru Dan gave me sage advice. Very early on, he said, when you go train with other people, you have to make sure don't learn too fast, because sometimes when you learn too fast, they won't like it. They're like, oh, there's a know-it-all. He knows everything. Why should I show him anything?
Right.
But that was not the case with the Illustrissimo group. They just wanted me to get it as fast as I could possibly get it.
That is wow.
I'll tell you one story about Tony and Tupper if you don't mind.
Oh, please do. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is pertinent to Illustrissimo. So we're training, been training for several weeks and all that. And it was brought up, a particular person, would you please? The cat just came in. Here, say hi, cat. Yes, thank you for saying hi. This particular person had taken some video of Illustrissimo. This was some years before, and promised that he would not show it to anybody. That was a promise. Won't show it to anybody. Then he went back to his home country and made a video series.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. And so I'm talking with Tony and Tupper. They brought that up, and we're talking a little bit. And we're just having this nice conversation. They're so helpful, so generous. And Tatang wasn't there right then. And they said, yeah, if he ever comes back to the Philippines, he will not leave. I'm like, I said,
alrighty.
Yeah, alrighty. I said, yeah. He goes, I said, well, how does that work? So I said something like that. How does that work? He goes, oh, well, we just take care of it. And then we go to hiding for a month. And then after a month, the police forget about it. And then you go back about your business. It's just matter of fact. And I actually I made a movie in the Philippines, and Tupper's brother, Ronnie Ricketts, was the star.
Yeah.
And I had written that into the script, and he read it. He looks at me and goes, how do you know about that? Like the part about disappearing it's just common knowledge over there, but how would you know about that? So anyway, I'm just saying these were some serious guys. That's so funny. Yeah.
he won't be leaving. Wow, what a shame
No,
though. And they took it, and is this still floating out around out there?
I have looked and I have not seen it, and I have a
I was gonna
feeling
say because I've been looking for 2 decades on, and I think yeah, okay, all right. Well that's good then. All right.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that guy's not going back to the Philippines, I'm sure, and um, yeah. So I'm just saying that too, is because they are just serious guys.
Yeah.
Tatang ended the life of many, many, many people.
Yeah.
He ended a lot of lives, and that was to him was just them or me,
Isn't
you
that just
know.
amazing? Like it was just, I don't want to say the norm, but due to, I guess, the environment, the wars, I mean, just feel like I don't want to say like an everyday activity, but I mean, just something that had to be done or you had to do, right? I mean,
Yeah, and that was just something to be done, and what no qualms about it. Just like, well, this is wartime, or this guy, the Muslim prince is trying to cut my head off. I'm going to cut his head off. Okay, that's just, and he thought it was funny. He's just, he's laughing about it. So, yeah, there's another incident. So the one where the Muslim prince, maybe you guys know about this, people watching.
mm,
And anyway, it culminated. The guy drew his sword to go to cut Illustrisimo down. The prince did. And Illustrisimo said, I'm sure he said it in interviews, but he told me, he said, I was lucky. The guy was angry and he drew and he pulled his arm back to cut hard. And that gave Illustrisimo time to draw, come into a block, and he came back and he cut the guy's head clean off his body. And he said, and he looks at me, he goes, then the body goes boom on the ground. And he goes, and the head, it was running away, and he starts laughing. He thought it was so funny. And he told me this other story that's been out there as well, the story about him, an acquaintance or a friend got into some deal with a bad guy.
mm,
And the guy's like, okay, I'm going to meet you. We're going to have a knife fight. We're going to knife fight. And the other guy had killed people with knives before. He knew what he was doing. Illustrisimo's friend did not know what he was doing. So obviously he was extremely worried. And with honor, you have to show up. So he shows up. And what does he do? Do you know the story?
this one, I don't think so.
Yeah. So Illustrisimo said, okay, I'll go with you to back him up, give him
Oh,
courage,
okay. Yeah.
back him up, right? Support, moral support. So the guy shows up, guy shows up with Illustrisimo in tow. Bad guy pulls his knife. This guy pulls his knife and hands it to Illustrisimo. What a friend.
Oh.
There you go. What a friend. So Illustrisimo, Tatang said he decided he was just going to scare the guy, right? So, Illustrisimo has there's like not a thought in his mind that he's in danger here. So he says, I'm just going to scare him. So what he did, he said he just went, as the guy started to move, he stepped forward and just went and did just a little poke, just wanted to poke him in the abdomen a little bit, just a little. He went like this. He goes, and as I did, the guy jumped to the side and Tatang went whoop, whoop, and he cut the guy wide open. And that was hilarious. It was hilarious. What a funny thing. He just thought that was so funny. I must say, I have that on video too. I'm laughing too because the way he's telling it, it's funny.
Yeah,
Then
not obviously because of the guy, but the way he's telling it, you're like, I mean, yeah.
the way he's telling it, it's funny.
I think I forget who told me this, but it was taking a Japanese guy's head off, and so he basically just kind of boom into the tree, and it got stuck there, like the sword and the head there, and I guess the body kept like running or just and of course laughing about it.
Yeah, laughing about it. It's funny. Funny stuff, but that's cultural different, right? We've grown up in such a safe environment, even though I grew up in area of Los Angeles, Carson, next to Compton, and there were a lot of some of my friends got killed by gunfire, and I dealt with gunfire and all this, craziness. Still, it wasn't as bad as some people lived every single day. But yeah, Tatang, what a unique individual. And the kindness, to see the gentleness, so gentle and soft and kind and wanting to share. I mean, something in the Philippines that we don't do here in America is I'd sit next to him, he'd put his hand on my thigh because it was, like an endearment. You'd standing up, he'd grab your hand and you'd hold your hand, if he liked you. It's just, really an interesting juxtaposition of the warrior and this just really, it's just what martial artists should be. I think you should be calm and gentle, kind, but when it's time to do it, you just go to work.
Okay, because I know we don't have you forever.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
No. They were great stories. No. That was the questions. That was perfect. Okay, well, this should be somewhat quick. And this is from Alvin. FMA scene in Hawaii.
Yes.
So status quo.
Yes. So, when I got here, I brought Filipino martial arts to Hawaii 25 years ago. Oh no, all these guys just showed up. What's going on? No, so Filipino martial arts has been here for such a long time. They're just like in Northern California, farm workers came over, but also fishermen. And there's this thing that, in California, a lot of these farm workers, they were escrimadores. Yeah. In Hawaii, and a lot of them here in Oahu, there were a lot of farmers, it's true. On Kauai, where Villabrail ended up moving to, it was mainly the fishermen. And that's from Grandmaster Vince McGlinty, who has relayed that to me. It was the fishermen mainly that there were escrimadores over there. So here, the status quo, there's a lot of Filipino martial arts in Hawaii. There are different styles, lots of different teachers, but most of them are backyard groups. It used to be just family. For example, Grandmaster McGlinty. So I'll tell you that real quick. Guru Dan, after I was living here for quite a while, Guru Dan says, you need to find Grandmaster Vince McGlinty. He's the missing link in Villabrail College.
You were telling me this. Yes,
remember? And so basically, it's a long story, and I'm so thankful that I'm able to spend time with him. It took quite a while. He is very protective of the art because he cares about it so much. And he grew up in the time of fighting. When Villabrail moved to Kauai from the Philippines, he lived at Grandmaster McGlinty's house where he was growing up as a boy, because McGlinty's father was a great escrimador who started the, he's going to kill me, Kauai Visayan Escrimadors Association on Kauai.
Okay.
It's the first one to really actually be public teaching. But so the status quo is there's a lot of Filipino martial arts of different level, and there's some really, really, really good Filipino martial art. And thankfully, Grandmaster McGlinty is still with us. And just
I remember you telling me about him, and that, yeah.
Oh, he's incredible.
Has Guru, you rolled with the karambit, or is that Dean's next test? Dean will not be rolling around with a live karambit. No. Glenn,
did I write about that? That when you come in September, that's what I didn't mean for that to get out.
Well, apparently Glenn found out. So
I
don't know how I did. I don't.
No, yeah, I've done rolling with a training karambit. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Robert. I don't know. You mentioned you might want to keep this not yet, but he's asking how this your event went. K-Dog said he had fun.
Oh yes. So yeah, we did a little stick fighting event. I'll tell everybody more about that another time. But we did have a really good stick fighting event over here. Had a few guys, and I'm going to be reaching out to other people. We're going to do some more here, and then maybe across the country, and see if we can actually get a very interesting sport going, stick fighting sport.
Yeah. Okay. And next test is the oar on the beach. I think Sarah got that under control, so I don't think I'll be needed for that, Eric.
Sarah will do the oar defense.
Yeah, I think Eric. I gotta be honest with you. It's garbage can lid and cane for me. I just seen that happen with me. So I mean, but I'm just saying it. That's word on the street
with that garbage can lid.
telling you.
Rubber can lid and ore,
Now, here's
maybe.
the thing, though, Guru, my pimple.
That's it. Oh, by the way, everybody, Dean is actually paddling over to Hawaii. He's leaving tomorrow to get here by September.
All right. We got Summit. Word on the street is that Guru Sarah Richardson hits harder than Guro Burton. Is that true?
Wait, what's that? Say that again from Summit.
From Summit. Word on the street is that Guru Sarah Richardson hits harder than Guro Burton. Is that true?
I will not deny that. I will not deny that. Summit's seen it firsthand. It's horrible. It's horrible.
The truth is out. All right. Okay, I want to get to. I just got a few more, and we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
Now I'm going to back up. These were questions for Salem, and they were, actually, if I recall, they were pretty good. Okay, bear with me. They're coming. While I'm finding them, a quick one for you. If you had time in the will to choose one FMA system that you wanted to go from start to finish, you might have been exposed to it, but you really wanted to go deeper, what system would that be?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one.
I know.
You know why? I'll tell you why that's a tough one. I mean, I really, Kali Illustrismo is amazing. It's an amazing, complete system. Yeah. You know, I've been able to go through so many thanks to Guru Dan. But you know, I'm going to actually have the Kali Illustrismo system on video because I want to help perpetuate that particular art, and it's so complete and it's a fighting art. But in general, I like to go beyond any particular style. So yeah, gosh, I don't know. I've been exposed to so many like Paquita Tertia, and of course a lot of training in La Casa, like years and years and years and years.
Right.
So I'd have to think about that more.
I'm going to say Lightning Scientific.
Oh, good. That's a good one. Yep. That's a good point.
2 questions from Celine. What sets apart the Kali systems of KI and Villarreal Augusta Kali, and how do they compare and contrast with each other?
Okay, that's a long answer, but I'll say, first of all, the Villarreal system of Kali is different than the Villarreal Largusa system, because Grandmaster Ben Largusa, his idea was to take the Villarreal, what he learned from Villarreal, organize it into dances and forms primarily, plus numerata and such, and so it would be more palatable to the public, and so make it more like karate. That was his stated goal. Whereas the Villarreal system,
for the Westerners,
is actually, it's very free, but it's a lot like Illustrismo from what I trained in Villarreal Argusa, and what I've learned of the Villarreal system Kali itself. There are a lot of similarities to Kali.
I remember you recall mentioning that to me. Okay, his next question is, could you please provide more information about Richard Bustillo and his systems and training approach in FMA? Yes.
Richard Bustillo was a fighter first. Fun, of course, from Hawaii. He's just an amazing guy. He had 2 approaches. This is from what I saw. I started with him in 1980, and until his death, I trained with him. I saw at first he was only interested in the fighting part. Later, he saw value in teaching systems and styles of Filipino martial arts. For example, Dosi Pares and other things. He saw that value, but he was a fighter at heart. For example, real quick story. He said one time, this is early, I was probably only training for a month or something, the original Kali Academy, where Guru Dan would teach one night, Sifu Richard Bustillo would teach the other night during the week. And he says, has all this in class, and Sifu Richard says, okay, show me some ideas for a counter for a low punch to the stomach. Guy throws across, target your midsection. What are some counters? So people are going, oh, I do like this, I do like that. You know, I pop it out of the way, I move back, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, Sarah's here. Hello. Don't hit me. And so he listened to everybody give these different things, and finally he goes, okay, you know what? He goes, your abs should be in shape, so just take it and you fire back while it's coming in. You take the shot to the body to land one to the head. That was C for Richard Bustillo to me. So you want to say hi? Here she is.
Hello.
That's quite a sparring partner right there. So that's C for Richard Bustillo, fighter at heart.
Take one to give one. All right. Can't argue that.
Yeah.
And
Take one into a place you can take to give one that's debilitating.
there we go. Glenn has a question. Why did you go into Krav Maga?
Because I was looking and, you know, again, constantly reevaluating, introspection, self-evaluation, and realized we did not have in JKD, Filipino martial arts, CLOT, etc. We did not have good pistol defense.
Gun defense.
Gun defense. We didn't have good gun defense. So like, you know what? They specialize in that. Let me go and check that out. Then when I started studying it and reading, I read a bunch of books, and then I went to some classes in Los Angeles, Southern California, this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, they actually have a different mindset and this and that. And I was interested. Then maybe 5 years of just doing sort of, you know, cursory self-study on my own, not teaching anything, of course, just studying it and getting an idea. I decided I wanted to actually pursue instructorship, and I was going to do serious training. Okay. And I looked around anyway. So, but the reason was because gun defense we didn't have, and it turns out Krav Maga offers great pistol defense, great long gun defense, and the mindset is brilliant, especially if you're training someone that doesn't have experience. So in fighting, period. Like somebody just wants to come in and you want, again, like Piper, it's equivalent of Piper empty-handed. You get them formidable, where, you know, if somebody, okay, with the Piper, you know, somebody can kill somebody within, you know, a month of training, easy. Right. But with Krav, at least they are given a fight to somebody. So they have a little bit of a fighting chance there after just a couple month or two of training. So that's what I really like about it.
So, all right. So your interest went beyond just gun. It was also the mindset as well. Getting somebody prepared in a short amount of time.
And, you know, that's the thing. When you see something and you go, oh, I'm deficient there, let me go and actually try this thing out. Then you go into somebody else's world and you go, oh, wow, it's not what I thought, because a lot of the Krav I had seen was basically some pistol defense, some knife defense that was, I don't know, I would say a little questionable. And then a lot of the empty hand was, they had really taken a lot from JKD, you know, from the JKD concepts, and you Thai boxing and this and that and using JKD stuff. But when I actually went into it with Nir Maman, who was, you know, Israeli Special Forces Soldier of the Year, you know, 1 year in Israel, and teacher at the counterterrorism unit when, you know, Americans and Canadians went over after 9/11. He was one of the guys training the Special Forces. This guy's the real deal. And you go, oh, I see what it is now. It was different than what I thought. And there's so much value there.
Interesting. Like with your background, you know, that's a question I just never asked you, because when we see each other, usually, I got to ask you about staff. I got to ask you about this, who's coming up for grading. It just, you know, it just gets, you know, put back. But I always wondered, like, why did you take Krav Maga? And
yeah.
now
that's a very good question.
Yeah. Okay. Not gonna hold you this, but programs. Okay, you just came out of the trapping for the street. So, and obviously the KI, when you get that sucker to come out from Connecticut to fly to Hawaii, you're gonna do that program with them. In between, as staff after that? Is there anything in between the trapping now and the KI early fall?
No. I mean, I'm working on programs all the time and developing them, developing. I really enjoy doing that. And it's my own personal training, comes from my own sparring, personal training stuff. But next is KI. After that, because KI is deep and takes a lot of effort on my part to get all those videos, explain all the videos, organize them. So, and it's a lot of work, which I enjoy. And then staff maybe right after that, but then Jun Fan JKD. And who knows, there may be, I'm going to do the C-Lot dance as well coming out at some point because it's so good for your body.
Just like the Jurus, etc.
Not Jurus, but actually just the C-Lot, the dance part, the Kembangan. I have a whole dance, and it's it's like sort of Tai Chi like, and it's really good. And there's application for everything. So when I'm doing that dance, I'm actually visualizing the application also, doing all this. It actually has meaning. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. That somebody
I do it a lot myself. I do that very often in my own training.
Like I've been so immersed in knife, you're constantly just knife, this and that. And then you could take something like that to kind of counterbalance everything, shall I say, the dark side.
Yeah, I know the violence, because it is counter-violence is still violence.
Have I because I know you got to go soon, and have I told you the Medusa system? Did I talk to you about that?
You mentioned it, but we haven't gone deep into that.
I think, and the reason I'm bringing that up to you is because if you were, somebody came up to, hey, I need to learn this, but I need to learn quick, it could be a female or a small statured, male, what have you. I'm thinking the Medusa actually could be just as good as a Piper.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure. If you're behind it, then no doubt.
Yeah.
Seriously. No, serious. You have all the sparring background, it's sparring based, or that mentality of dealing with a resisting person, not somebody standing there. It's going to be good. Like many beginners, you attacked me wrong. Yes.
Oh, I think I got a couple of questions in here. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, Tuan Bobby just said hi.
Hey.
Yeah, Tuan Bobby. Okay. John Kelly. What program has the most gun disarming in it?
Right now, it's the BJJ for the street and the clinch for the street. So
you put some in C-Lot for the street.
Gun disarm, I may have put something in there, but as far as really having a deeper explanation and such, it's I would say the best ones to get to would be
AJ for street, clinch,
or clinch for the street. And clinch, there's a lot of C-Lot in the clinch for the street.
No, I know. I've seen. I have it. I haven't got to it yet, but I mean, I did see some. Yeah. What about MMA for the street? It was probably in there too, right?
But see, when I did MMA for the street, when I made that program, I didn't have much pistol. See, later I'm like, hey, wait, we're missing the pistol and the rifle and such. So.
Oh, you weren't exposed to the okay.
That's right. That was before, which is why I'm pondering redoing the MMA for the street program altogether to update everything.
That was going to be not a small undertaking.
Correct. that is it.
All right, got a last question here, and I'm going to get you out of here. You've been so gracious with your time. Glenn, does Guro do daily repetitions of Sempak?
Oh, Sempak. So good question. Well, I had some pretty severe digestive issues, and so that was, I couldn't train very hard for quite a while, and that sort of movement. I would do Sempak, but not all the way down. So not all the way down to the ground, and I still do that now. But I have since January been building my body back up. I do what I call catcher squats. I'm just standing, then I go down into a catcher's stance, and I come back up all the way. So I go all the way down, all the way up. When I started in January, I could do 5, and I was wobbly after 5 of those squats. The other day I did 47 in a row without stopping at a good controlled pace.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so this is on my radar either next year, January, or toward the end of this year, starting to put Sempak back in actually from the low. But I sit in Sempak all the time. If I'm going to watch training video or something, I will sit in Sempak to keep everything stretched out.
Oh, good on you. All right. Wow. Okay, here's the last question. I know. Thoughts on the Florida allowing concealed carry for all citizens?
Yes. Okay, my thoughts are that I think we have one of the basic things for me is the right to defend yourself. As soon as you take away the right to defend yourself, that means you have to rely on other, government entities to protect you. And we know, as much as the police that I've worked with for all these decades, they want to get the bad guys. They're not going to be there on time. What are the chances that they're close enough to actually intervene while it's happening? It's rare. So that, to me, we should have the absolute right to defend ourselves. Now, when we say defend ourselves, that means with proper force. If somebody pushes you, you don't go double, dive to a double eye gouge and then grab them by the throat, slam their head on the ground. That's excessive force. You have to understand. And so I think for firearm carry, I think everybody should be trained, because it is such a responsibility to carry a firearm. Now, I carried a firearm concealed for several years living in Los Angeles, and it was 100% illegal, but I had a high-level police officer, the head of a SWAT division, a really good SWAT division somewhere in the country. I won't mention it, but he talked to me. He said, man, where you're living, he goes, you have to have a gun. Because I had so many gun incidents. It wasn't like I never saw a gun. I've had a whole bunch of gun incidents happen right around where I was living, and that's really bad area. But so the point being, I trained very hard. That guy trained me, plus other training, to be able to pull out. But the most important thing, one, is when do you pull that? When are you legally justified and morally justified? Hopefully those coincide, morally and legally justified to pull the weapon out. And are you going to do it safely? Are you going to go, hey, and then shoot yourself in the hand? Or are you going to be able to draw correctly? And then are you aware of people behind the target, that you're not just going to start shooting and now you're shooting innocent people? I mean, it is such a responsibility. So personally, I think everybody should be trained well and understand the legalities and the responsibility of having a firearm. Because once you pull that, you have to be ready to actually use it, deadly force. Because people say, oh, shoot him in the leg. Yeah, you shoot him in the leg, hits him in the femoral artery, and he dies. It's a more agonizing death, right? So, yeah, you have to understand your backstop and what's behind you. So anyway, that's my.
Yeah, that's one. I tell you, that's one area that I practiced, gun disarms, but never went to a range. Don't have my license, and everybody's highly suggesting that I do.
I would highly suggest it too, because just handling the firearm, you will have a better understanding of what it takes to do a disarm. You'll be used to the boom, understand how the slide works, and how if you grab the slide, he only gets one shot because it won't cycle. And there are a lot of things. Sometimes I've seen a friend of mine who's very good at jiu-jitsu, not Marcelo, somebody else, a great jiu-jitsu guy. I was rolling on the ground with him with a training pistol, and I was showing him the grip we're using and all, and it's working very well. And he goes, I have this feeling like he wants more grip on it, so he's going to put his head on the side, not in front of where the bullet would come out, on the side. He goes, I just feel like I have a lot more control there. And I said, well, yes, but a real gun, if it fires, there's going to be a muzzle flash, and if it's next to your ear, it's going to be debilitating. So you have to, it's better to hold something tight to your body, but with a pistol, you have to keep it away because of that muzzle flash.
Yeah. Oh, so did you tell, for when I come out in September, did you tell Marcelo that I'm coming and
He is training for you right now.
they'd be concerned? I
Yeah,
mean,
he's very concerned. He's very, very concerned. And I told him, you said just gi, no striking, no nothing. But he's extremely concerned.
okay, you gave my background, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh my
Well,
God, when I go out there, you better be like, oh, hey, this is Dean. Oh, and can't believe what Dean said. He said,
don't put it past me.
you're not gonna be.
uh,
All right, I'm just
I,
making sure I didn't miss anything, but I know we got to. You've been so generous with your time, so I think man. Yes, I agree, Sammy. I got to get some gun training in. Yeah,
yes, get the gun
absolutely.
training.
That's
Very.
Dean Franco. No other place they pay you to shoot. Signed it down the line. Okay, Richard. Okay. Oh, by the way, we own you now for the next how many every years.
I did want to mention
Please do.
two things. One, I haven't bought the tickets yet, but the plan is I'm going to the Philippines in January,
Oh, that's
and
right.
I may get a few people, see if a group wants to come over,
Okay.
just a very small group. I'll see. We'll see if that works out to be able to train with some various people in the Philippines, and then February. I don't have a date yet, but sometime in February here in Hawaii, we're going to do a seminar. It'll be Eric Noss, Phil Sled Dog Jolinas, and it'll be myself. And we're going to do a little camp.
What? Three original Dog Brothers.
Three Dog Brothers teaching together in Hawaii.
What do you guys? What do three original Dog Brothers have to offer?
Not much, but hey, if you live in the
That's
East
incredible.
Coast, it's going to be February. You can come to Hawaii and get
incredible.
some weather at least.
That you three are getting together, that's incredible. Oh, the other thing I want to add, I got people offering me to teach me a gun. I got very kind of these people. Arthur Smith in Florida. I'll teach you. Brian Canana in Georgia when you come down. All right.
Awesome. Do it.
Hey, so what was I going to say there? Oh, the camp.
Yeah.
One of the things we were talking about, since there's some folks watching, that one of the things you're thinking about, as well as this future programs you got going out, is kind of a camp where not only instructors can come out, but people who may want to get involved with you or your programs can additionally come out.
True. Yes. So thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, we're thinking about having a JKD Unlimited camp where people, whether a C-Lot instructor or a stick or MMA for the street, whatever the instructors, we get everybody together and we just do a weekend of training, have a great time, all the for the street modules, battlefield calling modules, C-Lot for the street, all these things. And we just get together and have a really good weekend of training. So
you should really, I hope you go through and do this. I think it's going to really resonate with folks. And I think it'll be a success. Yeah.
That will be great.
All right. I'm going to get you out of here. I promise. Last question. I promise. Don't have the Sarah and that little ninja be mad at me. What are your thoughts on national licensing for firearms?
National licensing. I don't know anything about it. Those are my thoughts. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
What that is. Sorry, but main thing, I think people should have the right to defend themselves and not have to rely on government to supply that. It's a right, And just I'm going to Missouri in September. I'll be teaching a seminar in St. Louis, and in Missouri they have the same carry laws. You don't need anything. And when I was in Missouri, my friend offered. He goes, "Hey, you want to carry a gun?" And I declined just because I didn't have the proper gear and all that. And so, again, the responsibility.
Missouri, Sean? When you say Missouri, you're going?
It's somebody else. So we're going to, Sean Sutton is in Cincinnati. So I'll be putting all that out on.
Oh, good. Yeah. Because I may be, depending on what you got going on there, and depending when it is. And when is it?
It's the 20th. I think the weekend, like the 25th, 26th, somewhere, or 26th, 27th, that weekend of September, end of September, St. Louis.
Oh, so I'll be back. Wow. I would. Wow. Okay. Because that's not that
I
far.
hope you can make it.
Yeah, I would love to actually. All right. Wow. I want to thank you so much for coming on. This was spectacular. Every time you come on, there's never a shortage of what to talk to you about.
I talk too much sometimes, but
you know?
yeah, I'm so excited about martial arts. I'm just so excited about training and teaching and developing it and concept research and development. I just love it.
Yeah, well, you're one of the best at it, as far as I'm concerned, putting programs together. So you got down to a science, and the congruency among the levels, and I don't know. I think they're just beautifully done.
Well, thank you.
But
Makes it easy.
well, all right. Well, hey, so Hawaii, sounds like a
See
couple
you in
months.
September.
Could be awful. The beach, the weather. I'm really dreading it. I can't believe I'm being forced into this situation to be it's just cruel and unusual punishment.
True. What I'm known for. So.
All right. Well, always a pleasure talking to you. I'll be in touch for.
Yes.
My staff skills.
That's right.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for letting us borrow you from the family for a couple hours. So.
Thank you. I'm going to go enjoy some time with them.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Aloha, everybody. Come on out.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that wraps up 419. I almost lost what episode I'm on. Who's next? Who is next? Tom Pena. Got somebody in England tomorrow. So if you have not seen already, there is a group which is solely dedicated to the FMA discussion, Europe and the Pacific. So Tom is interviewing somebody in Europe tomorrow. And so if you're around, particularly in those time zones, check it out. Also, what else? Raffles coming down the pipeline. One for name is escaping me, and it shouldn't be. Billy Brown. Wife got sick, so we're going to be doing something for that. So that should be coming out pretty soon, all the information on that. And Thursday, I have to find out from him, but potentially, Datu, Kelly Warden. He's always fun to talk to in there. And I think that's it. So, folks, if you have not already signed up, FMA Discussion on YouTube, please do. All our monies go to charity. We do not keep anything. All right. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. But again, Tom Pena on tomorrow. Check his show out.